Um, I started the practice years ago, and it's been a real blessing for me. And I just want to explain why I'm here and why I do what I do. I have a heart for the Lord, and I feel like this is my calling, so that's one reason. I have a real heart for people, and I have a heart for service. And so I feel like in serving people through caring for their animals, that's what fulfills my higher calling. So that's how I ended up where I am, created where we are today. It's those three things I feel like that set us apart. It's those things that bond clients to our practice. It's that type of thing that bonds clients to our practice, and those are the things that people need to feel every time they come in. Every single time they need to feel that we are here because we want to serve them and because we have a heart for them. So you might notice that I did mention that I love animals, which of course I do. But that's not what it's all about to me. I see taking care of the animals, again, as my calling, but certainly as an opportunity for me to serve people. And that's what fulfills me. Because it's not something that I do, it's who I am. To behave differently from that is nearly impossible. And so that's why I really, it's very important for me to surround myself with people like you who have that same desire and have a heart for people and have a heart for service. I also didn't mention making money or growing the biggest practice in the county or driving the best car or anything like that. However, when we are all aligned with those similar goals, those same goals, and the same principles, then that's when, through serving people, we can create a future for ourselves, a future where we can grow and not feel stagnant in our career and continue to thrive and prosper. And yet we can do that doing something that we love to do, which is helping animals. So I'll give you a little bit about my story. I graduated in 1986 from Purdue Veterinary School. Promptly married my husband Rick just a couple weeks out of school. He graduated in 1985, year ahead of me. And I went to work at a place in Terre Haute called Honey Creek Animal Hospital. And I worked with Dr. David Tatro, and he was there with me. The two of us worked together in practice for about a year and a half. And then he moved on and left me in charge of the practice. So a year and a half experience, which isn't very much, in case you guys wonder. Well, you guys know, anybody who's been to school, you know when you get out, you don't know anything. So at a year and a half, there I was, but that's what you did. We didn't have any, there were no specialty practices at that time. The closest specialty practice was in Anderson, other than Purdue, Dr. Lee in Anderson. And so we did all kinds of things there, and I learned an awful lot. Then Rick and I moved to Indianapolis, and I worked for pet practice, which was in Carmel. And that was a wonderful learning and growing experience too. It was interesting though that when I was there was a group of doctors. And when I first got there, you try to fit in and you try to, do your job. And I did. Honestly, I prided myself in creating value for myself. If there was downtime, I was on the computer learning how to do something different. One time, I printed like 70 pages accidentally because I was on the computer, trying to learn the stuff. I printed like 80 pages of deceased animals. I was like, oh, okay. I should have gone down a different path there, but and then I scrubbed and I took care of the animal animals, and you did what you needed to do to create value for yourself. And in doing that, then I was eventually moved to another practice that I ran, and it was in Zionsville, so that was really nice. At that point, after being in Zionsville for about 7 or 8 years, I decided that maybe it was time to think about starting my own practice. And that was facilitated by the fact that they encouraged me to leave, which actually is a wonderful opportunity, and that's a different story. But I didn't have any hesitation in starting a practice of my own because I knew I could do it better than the way I had seen it done. And that's not a prideful thing. That is not pat myself on the back. I just knew that there are better ways of treating people, better ways of handling situations, options, giving people options. It wasn't all about money, that kind of thing. So that was a really nice start. And So the kennel next door was just out here. I was in town. Jill Bratton owned the kennel at that time. And they had a wonderful reputation. And I had never met her. I never had met her. But her reputation, the kennel's reputation preceded her. Everybody who came in, oh, my dogs love Signs of Country Kennel. They do such a great job of it. I just heard people rave about it. And so when it looked like I had the opportunity to move and was looking for someplace to go, I called Jill and I said, you know, I've never met you before, but at one time she had said, hey, if you ever want to join up, let me know. And I said, you one time offered that, what do you think? And so that started this kind of connection. And we started in, 1,000 square feet of lease space to about 800, 700 square feet of lease space. And I call it the spider of clinics, because we were in there. They had just kind of a utility room or an overflow room that they used. And so we went in there, Rick went in there, he laid floor, and we built walls, and we created a little tiny clinic with this one little exam room. And then down one long hallway, because you've been to the kennel, you guys, down one long hallway was surgery. That's where Debbie's office is now. That's our surgery. And then across the way and down another hallway was X-ray. And then we had a couple of cages right there. And we started with just 2 or 3 people. And it was a wild ride. But we did a good job. And we gave people what they needed, which was good care and good customer service. So that was a lot of fun. And then actually I solved one of the, and this I could be really proud of this, I solved one of the major problems that a lot of people face even today. I solved it myself. So I'll share my story of success, and you can tell everybody you know. If you're ever having trouble having children, all you have to do is quit your job and cancel your maternity insurance and start a business, which is what I did. So as soon as I canceled my maternity insurance because they said, no more babies for you, and then I quit my job and started a business, then next thing I know, little Spud comes along. I mention that because I was, and you've heard me tell the story of mopping when you're pregnant. Anybody who's ever mopped in here, I always tell the story because mopping when you're pregnant is a hysterical event. Because as you push the mop this way, your stomach goes that way. It's just the weirdest feeling in the world. So there I was mopping the floor, 9 months pregnant, and I thought, gosh, he's really kicking me today. Boy, he's really kicking me. Okay. So the next day, I had Noah, very nice, and I had arranged to be out for 8 weeks, I think. Arranged for relief veterinary for 8 weeks so that I could have some time to baby. 3 days into it, I got a call from my staff that said that this doctor was essentially incompetent, and if I didn't do something, that they were going to quit. And I understand that because and it wasn't Rick. It wasn't Rick. He was working someplace else at the time, so that was easy. Honestly, it was an older doctor, and eyesight was an issue, the ability to hit veins. There were just some issues. So 3 days after I had him, I was back at work. And I'm not saying that again, not to be prideful. It's a different perspective. Now, some of that security. I put my whole everything into the practice. You can't just let it fail. But part of that security comes from if you're not there to help people, then you're not going to be able to build your business. So, interesting story. He came along for many, many months, for 6 months, and I didn't work. I mean, I was working 10-hour days or anything. I would come in, it was very new business, so I'd come in and see if he wanted to, do this or that, nothing good. But he would come along. He was in his little, I keep pointing to you, I'm glad you're not on camera. He was in his little bouncy seat, and a lot of people still remember him in his little bouncy seat until he was about 6 months old, and then went off. So I share that only because it makes it like the clinic's a little bit like my third baby, and the clients are like my little godchildren in a way, because they're a big part of who I am and our opportunity for success. So I typically just say, honestly, it's by the grace of God, hard work, commitment to clients and staff, the clinic has grown from a spider-like lease space and the kennel's overflowing to $1 million nursing practice with essentially 20 employees. And that's all because I followed and tried to surround myself with others who follow the core principles of faith, servanthood, and love. Now, that being said, it's very important. This is the most important next step. My goal in life, my professional goal is, again, not to be the deepest practice, not to be the smartest doctor. My goal is to be the employer of choice. So I want to be the place that you want to work. I want us to be the place that draws people that have the same heart for care that we do. And I also feel like I want to do that because I believe the best judge of quality of a practice is not the clients or other doctors. The person who can judge the quality of practice best is you. I mean, the people who work here know, are the clients treated kindly and with respect? Are the patients treated kindly and with respect? Are the team members treated kindly and with respect? Are the doctors active, helpful, and engaging part of the team? Does the entire team adhere to the core values and principles of excellent patient care? So those questions, if you can answer those in the affirmative, then you know you're working in the best place that you can be. The second part about it is, if I surround myself with individuals with the same heart for caring and excellence, then we'll create a nurturing and growing environment and avoid conflict and burnout. Burnout's a tremendous problem in the veterinary industry. It really is. I mean, how many times do we... It can be exhausting. You just can be exhausted by the care that you're constantly having to put forward and put forward. And sometimes it doesn't feel like we're I don't know, it's not that we're not rewarded, but sometimes those rewards have to come more internal, so you don't feel it as much. So I want to help avoid conflict and burnout, and I think that creating that culture is the way to do it. I want to be able to come to work happy to be working and not, oh, I got to go to work today. It's like, oh man, I get to go. I get to spend the day with people that I like and people that are doing the same thing that I want to do. We have a similar goal, and we're going to get there together. And my goal for my chosen partners, which is you, is that the only reason you would want to leave is that if you found something better. And my plan would be to create an environment that there is nothing better. And it really is true. Part of the reason that I am doing what I do is for you. And it might be hard to see, it might be hard to understand, depending on where you come from, but it's true. So to achieve this, I need to provide the best work home that we can have, so there's nothing better. But my second goal is to challenge you and provide opportunities for you to constantly growing in knowledge, skills, and competence. I never want anyone to feel dead end or unappreciated on my team. And heaven forbid if you do leave, or if you leave for good reasons, I want you to leave better than you came. I want you to look back and say, I grew while I was there. I learned while I was there. I was supported while I was there. So that's me. That's why we're here. And that's why you're here too. Okay, so Becky's got a presentation for us about culture. So I'm going to let her do that. We'll swing the camera, not necessarily to you, but
switch seats.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, Becky.
Okay, the first thing I want to say is that I think we have a great team. We've hired a lot of new people recently, and I think our current team is really good. We have a lot of
I agree.
different people from different backgrounds, and it's really working out well. Being a part of the interview process and the reviews and everything, I've learned a lot about everybody, but I think that as the team, the new people don't necessarily know a lot about our old staff members, and our old staff members don't really know things about our new staff members. So, I just wanted everybody to kind of go around and tell us a little bit of your background. Our newer staff members, just say a fact about yourself, tell us your background, maybe your interests, what kind of educational background you have or experience. Go ahead.
Okay. I worked in the veterinary industry about 10 years ago. I worked for Dr. Grassi at Park. And I'm a writer. I spend most of my time at home writing. I've written 3 novels, and I'm working on finishing my 3rd novel, and we submitted it to this eventually. So
Well, this is like,
I worked at 2 clinics prior to this one. This one is my absolute favorite.
Oh.
And because I honestly
We
don't
like
feel
you
I was
too.
ever appreciated anyplace else, and I feel 100% appreciated here. I really do. I truly do. Love it. I mean, this is what I want to do.
How many years? How many years have you been doing this?
I've been in it for about 5 years. Yeah. I started off in the kennel with no experience whatsoever. Scoop and poo. And I just worked my way up. So I took all the classes I could take and got myself to where I am.
Excellent. What about you, Audrey?
I'm still new. Okay. I'm Audrey. I've worked at a low-cost clinic before. This is my first time at a full-service practice. So definitely different clientele and different pace and different everything. But I like it a lot. I do a lot of rescue work, so that's just kind of what I do. That's it. I come to work and I go home and I deal with animals at home. And
how long have you been in a rescue?
I've been doing rescue for 8 years. So since
how long did you work there?
Since I turned 18.
Okay.
Oh, and since I was as soon as I was legally able to. And I worked at the low-cost basal cost veterinary clinic downtown for about a year, and managed like a doggy daycare for 5 years. So different things, all animal related but different. Yeah.
Amanda?
I originally, before I got into the animal field, I did a lot of management experience, primarily coffee shops, so I did a lot of that for a while. And then I got hired on at what was Canine Camp, and is now Paws and Play, originally as a kennel attendant, and then got into some animal behavior. I was working with trainers, and then worked as a receptionist, and had a plethora of knowledge on different animal products and toys and puzzles and things. And then from there, I actually had a friend who was managing a Manfield and Oakville, so I worked there for about a year and a half.
Sarah?
I have no experience in the veterinary field, but I have, as my gray hair would prove, 30 years experience in customer service and training in a big company, Sallie Mae. I did get my bachelor's and master's degree from Michigan State University, which also has a vet school. Very highly regarded in the state of Michigan, but maybe not here.
Absolutely.
But interestingly enough, I worked with all the medical students there. That was my responsibility. And so I worked with all the veterinary students, and they were by far the most diligent students in getting things done on time. I can say that. So this is just a different place in my career than most of you, but I'm enjoying working with all of you.
It keeps us young, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Noah? That's true. Still
Now
don't.
I'm working there. I also love it. Practical.
Yes, we are.
Wonder where the checks came from?
Okay, and then for our older staff members, I just want everyone to go around and say how long they've been here. And just kind of give a little background of your experiences. I'll start. I have been in the vet field for about 15 years. I have always been interested in animals. I've always done this. I started from the bottom, cleaning kennels and doing that in high school, and then I went to Purdue and majored in animal science. I applied to vet tech school for 2 years and never got accepted. So my degree is actually in ag econ. And then I just worked my way all through college and out of college doing tech work. And I worked in Frankfurt, and then I came back to Scienceville when I got pregnant. I needed to be closer to home. So I've been in Scienceville ever since. And I've been here for 6 years in March. Okay.
I started at VCA, formerly the Pet Practice in Carmel.
It was. I knew
It was?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
okay. And
We
in
probably did the same
97,
thing.
I know probably. In 97, and then I went to the Humane Society in December of 99, and I was there for 8 years, and then I came here in December
has a farm in Florida, and he has horses, deer, anything that you can name it. My mom is like Dr. Doolittle. So. But I wanted to be a nurse, so I started nursing school, and then something happened in my life where I really decided that that wasn't right for me, and that I wanted to be, a vet tech or be a vet. That's where I started. And so I started working at a kennel in 2008, and was going to school, and then I decided to do vet tech. Went to International Business College and was there for the associate's program. Got my degree there, and then I worked at Avon for about a year and a half. And I came here, and it'll be 2 years in April.
I haven't been there or been here that long, but I graduated from school last May, and then started working here in May. Before that, I went to my externship at Bush's Veterinary Service in Flora, and they were mixed practice, so I'm learning on there. But I have kind of wrong now. I really wish that you guys did learning well, but I love hearing it.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Shoot, where'd you go to school?
I went to International Business College as well.
Okay.
In the associate's degree, the same as here.
Amanda?
I've always loved being around animals. I grew up not on a farm, but we always had all kinds of critters. So that kind of got me interested in it. And when I started school, I went for music at first, and then switched majors a few times. And then after working a while, I decided that I really did want to work with animals, so I went back to school. I did the vet tech program at Garrison College, and I graduated in 2012. And I did my internship at schools in 2011. I actually worked at UCA for a couple of months doing reception work when I first started. And then I went to Millis. And right now I'm also volunteering to do penguins. And then I actually just started taking classes again a couple weeks ago. I want to actually go back to school and get my bachelor's in to the vet school eventually.
Same plan for me.
Same plan for me. We have a lot of people with these aspirations as well, so that's good.
How about you, Diane?
Well, I was raised with animals, of course, raised in the country, and playing with animals. We did large animals, and dogs and cats, and so I love my animals. And then, well, for about 10 years, I waited on tables. I love serving people, and really staff, and the ones I've seen that's came in, I'm just, I know. And the personalities that we have now,
Yeah, great.
you know, I mean,
You're welcome.
Julia, and Audrey, and they're, you know what I mean? I mean, it's, we get the work done, but there's that fun, you know, even. Big.
Sharon?
Oh, mine is like nearly as lame as yours. I also wrote as like everybody knows who it is. Was at IU, which I don't think I'll get struck dead for saying a year, but but my husband was at IU, got married. My husband was closer to me in history than I was in mine, and we were both trying to work full time and go to school full time and be married full time, and it was not working out. So I got back on school, he went ahead and got his degree. Ended up getting a job at working in human medicine. And I was in human medicine for 18 years. And then as the phrase is popular now, that position was eliminated. And I went home and I said, I'm going to call our doctor, our dentist, and our vet, because that's where all our money goes. And thank heaven, this is the job that it took. And I've been here about 5 years now. No great leaves, you're going to
Well, the bodies are very
I also got and then was in banking and accounting and purchasing, and then I got married and named and I was called up here to help fill in for CSR while I was pregnant.
You got your mother.
5 days, yeah, 5 days from giving birth, I'm like, really, I need to find somebody to replace me. Oh, but I've been here. Been here on and off since then, it's 98.
Dr. Tracy?
I was a vet assistant at ACA over Crosspoint, over Fishers, and was undergrad. And I volunteered also at the vet school. I went to Purdue undergrad, and then I went to Ohio State and got my master's in veterinary epidemiology there. And then I went back to Purdue for vet school and graduated in 2007. And I've been here since January 2008.
Excellent. What was your master's degree in?
Veterinary epidemiology.
Epidemiology, that's right. Cool.
At Purdue, or?
He was,
Probably a different guy, he was, that's all he did was just epidemiology, just hand out the same test year.
we're recording. And we don't have time to go into what all Rick has done.
I don't have any hobbies,
He's boring. He's never worked any place except here.
bring him up.
He's worked emergencies, worked specialty, he worked equine, he worked mixed animal practice. He did an externship in England, he's a farrier. Worked for the state, works at the
One of my first
racetrack.
days here, I walk in and there's a pygmy goat here, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You would have liked that.
We did the FHO on here.
That was a
We did
bad
the,
sticky.
we did the Brunotomy on
It was
here.
so stinky.
That's right. Oh yeah, that was a
Guy
different.
did mixed animal practice for 4 years.
The miniature horses.
We should look into doing that again.
Elephants.
Some more next time.
He just pretends like he doesn't know anything.
Yeah. That way nobody asks him any questions.
That was my long-standing policy, when you got a animal. No matter what you want, when you ask them how old they are, the answer is that's
Okay, so we have lots of education in our backgrounds. Who has taken a sociology or anthropology class?
I never did. Did you really? Sociology
Who
or
can
anthropology?
remember what culture is?
Ooh, Audrey.
Yay!
I got an A in my Anthropology 101. That was like 7 years ago, though, so I don't remember.
So you don't really remember.
I remember, like, well, isn't, oh, no, I'm not answering.
Oh, come on. It's not Audrey, really.
How I kind of remember culture, isn't it like that? Attitude, lifestyle, is kind of like a group of people.
Yes.
Communities, yeah. Look at you.
Excellent.
Class.
So I have the general definition of culture is the arts and manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. So, what do you think of when I say the 70s? What kind of culture was the 70s?
Rick lived it. Oh, you guys aren't even old enough. Were you even born in the 70s?
I wasn't even born when you graduated from vet school.
Oh my gosh. The 70s were wild. The 60s were actually worse, but the 70s were
Everything
wild.
was free.
Tie-dye,
And you paid the price.
disco, bell-bottoms.
Yeah, free everything.
Free everything.
Afros.
Yeah.
What about like Japanese culture? What would you think about?
Little tiny feet.
Satin.
Tiny
Or silk.
Very structured.
Right.
rice.
What'd you say? Sushi and rice.
Yeah.
What did you say, Noah? You said, oh, I thought you said
Honor-based.
honor-based, absolutely.
What about the culture of country music? Tia, what do you think of? Cowboy boots, cowboy hats, glam twirls.
What do you call it? Two-step?
That's all country now.
Okay, so another definition of culture is the knowledge and values shared by a society. So that being said, what is the culture of the veterinary field? Professional codes, beliefs, values, core values. So what is the culture of our clinic? What are our core values? Who can recite our core values?
Somebody give one. Sarah says integrity, Tara. Commitment.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Not a core value.
You don't have to respect.
Excellence, excellence.
Passion.
Passion.
Compassion.
All right. Integrity, professionalism, excellence, commitment, and compassion.
And we're going to add one, by the way.
Okay.
It is servanthood. Servanthood. Servitude means we're slaves. Servanthood means we want to serve people. And I feel like that's not covered as clearly with the rest of that.
What are some of the beliefs that we have?
Clients come first. Second patient is your own pet.
Treat each other with respect. What? High quality of care. Yes. You have individualized care for each patient.
Community, great involvement in the community. Low stress handling.
Showing attention to detail. Telling someone your dog's heart rate is doing well. Do you want to do that like every day? Details. Strong teamwork. Saying, let me help you with that. Or what can I help you with? And of course, our great client service. Being sympathetic during euthanasia, carrying out food, opening a door, working patients into the schedule. This is also referred to as the ZCBC way, which is our protocols. Education and experience are very important. We all come with different backgrounds, and they all influence how we work. But if we don't work as a team, it doesn't matter. So just make sure that we're all following, we're all doing, adhering to the ZCBC culture. It can hurt our ability to achieve long-term goals if not. said, veterinary medicine is always changing, so input is always appreciated. Just make sure that you are giving your input at the appropriate time and to the appropriate person. Does anyone have any questions about culture of the clinic? Yes.
I have a question. I am curious as to how you feel about our culture as far as how you feel we're representing it. Do you as individuals feel, and I'll tell you what, one of the best moments I ever had was when I asked a similar question. It was like, do you think we can succeed at this? And I had a staff member that said no, because she honestly felt like we couldn't succeed the way we had it laid out. So I like honesty. So do you think that we're living our core values? Do you think that we're living our culture on a day-to-day basis? Do you think we're living at 100%? Do you think we're living at 80%? Do you think we're living at 50%? Because we're all new at this whole process, this whole culture and all this process that we're taking. We said it's going to take a minimum of 2 years to get it in place and really feel it and know that it's working. So I honestly would be interested in people's input as to where you feel like we are with the culture. If anybody's brave enough to say, if they don't think it's 100%, because I don't know it's 100%. I think it's 80%. What do you think?
I think it's 80%.
About 80%?
I think I agree. I think like more often than not, I see a lot of selfless behavior, and I think it really speaks volumes, but I think that we've all at some point have fallen victim of, personal circumstance or, something's going on personally to where it affects our work ethic, our attitude, or behavior. And I think that sometimes, okay.
Anybody else think a different number than that? I think that's good to see, because that's our goal, is to try to continue to improve. And it's just important to realize where we are and where we've got to go.
Okay. That being said, Dr. Sharon has a little presentation for us.
I do, and this, you guys, this is going to be really fun. So how do if I turn this off, will it come back on again, or here, I'll just block it. Can you block it? In there or something? So I don't want to give it away. I don't know how to do this. This is my very first PowerPoint presentation. So, and just a second, slideshow from current slide. Okay. Letter. Ta-da! Okay, now, this is a book that I just read, and I know you guys get tired of hearing me that I've read a book. But I might suggest that one of the books I read said, surround yourself with things that encourage you. Read books that elevate you. Read something that's going to stimulate, that's going to encourage, that's going to, kind of take off on that. Where's my second page? I forgot. We're going to pause this for just 1 second. We talked about back to the basics, and so before we start on this, I just want to tell you that we're committed to the back to the basics, and so as leadership and as we go forward, our responsibility to you to allow you to provide the best service that we can and to meet your own personal goals. So we have some structure. The accountability chart has been presented recently at the different team meetings, the tech team meeting and the CSR team meeting. And that gives us some structure and accountability. So you know who to go to if there's a question, if there's something that needs fixed on a computer, or you have a question about this particular procedure. If you know who your report, we call that who you report to, so you just see the chart. We have job descriptions with key results areas. That's a really interesting thing too, because everybody has their job descriptions, but your job description is, to do this. Well, how do you know that you've accomplished that? So for instance, if somebody's job description is to, keep the reception area tidy, what does that mean? That means when people come in, there's no odor, that there's clean surfaces, that the windows are clean. So those are what's called a key result area. So everybody will know what they're responsible for. We're working on what used to be called complex operating systems, the COSs. We're going to change that to simple operating systems, because I think complex is a little daunting, and I don't like to be daunted by anything. So then as something comes up, we'll be able to go to the operating system and say, oh, this is how we're supposed to do it. So if you're not sure how the data pets are taken care of, then you go to that operating system, and we're actually working on a way too where it can be in a cloud, so you can get to everything from every workstation. So that's good. And then also training, which is what we're starting to do now. And all the training is going to be videotaped so that everybody gets the same information. Your responsibility is to bring a good attitude and to bring team focus. We can't be distracted while we're here. We've got to be focused on the job that we're doing. Because any distractions that we have are going to distract from the focus of the team and not just the individual. You need to bring a desire to serve humbly, competency based on the job descriptions and the key results areas, bring good communication skills, and bring a sensitive and caring manner with patients and clients and teammates. So that's part of it. Now, our plan to go ahead with this is we've got our accountability chart, we've got the job descriptions and key results areas for the CSRs and the kennel staff. The tech KRAs are just amazing because your job descriptions are horrendous. They go on pages and pages. So we're working on that. But it just increases my appreciation of what you do. The training program that we're going to be doing, and I'm really excited about this. Dr. Leslie has volunteered to each month. She's going to present one of our basic common things that we see. So for instance, first month is going to be hypothyroidism. So it's going to be start to finish, everything you need to know about hypothyroidism to the detail that you need without too much. And to be able to understand what your responsibility is with that condition. So for hypothyroidism for receptionists, understanding what you need to do with a hypothyroid patient is different than what the technician needs to do. So that, I'm really excited about that. And Leslie's got 12 different items that are planned out, well 11, because I think we skipped either January or something. And so each month there's going to be a different topic that we're going to go over. And then we'll have a communication plan, and that's something that hasn't been solidified yet, but we're working on that. And then provide tools for complaints and conflict resolution. Now, we'd love to say that we're never going to have any complaints and we're never going to have any conflict. I'd love to say that. But, you know, I'm married, so I totally get conflict. No, it's true, but, you know, any relationship, the marriage relationship is the closest you'll ever have, of course, but in any relationship, a working relationship, I mean, raise your hand if you ever had a conflict with anybody at work, here or anyplace else. I mean, it's ridiculous to say that we haven't. The key, though, is how do we respond to that? How do we take a conflict or take a concern and turn it into a positive or resolve it in a positive way? So this book, I heard about this book as I was looking through some leadership stuff. It's called The No Complaining Rule. And I thought, this is what I need because I don't need any complaining. But the truth is, it's really neat. You'll find out it's not like that at all. So here's the presentation. I've essentially summarized the book, and if we can have the audio off, there's pictures in here that aren't official. So you'll see that I snagged them from the internet. Okay, so now it's on tape, so if anybody wants to turn me in, they can. I promise, though, that I'm not going to make any money from their use, and just for chuckles. So, all right, so the no complaining rule. So let's talk about negativity. Oh, go back.
Miss Maine, I should get to go to cool places too. She's our internet boss as a complainer. Sir, I don't want to come across as a complainer. No, it's fine. What's on your mind? Well, first off, my office is way too small, okay? And my parking space stinks. The elevator is too slow. I need a new computer and a better work chair. The fax machine never dials right. And the copier, is on a toner at least once a week. But I don't understand why I get stuck with all the busy work. I mean, other people should be busy too. I mean, look at Johnson. I'm pulling my hair out, I'm so busy. But Johnson's just rolling around the hallway, picking up trash, cleaning up little messes. Johnson's the janitor. And Christy's always talking about all the cool places she's going to. Oh, I'm going to London, now I'm going to Spain. I should get to go to cool places too. She's our international Sam Schwartz. I don't like the way he's always looking better than me. He's always dressing better than me, having more sales, winning more awards. Oh, look at me. I'm salesman of the year. I'm smart. Blah, 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 blah. Is that all, Devlin? No. The office is way too cold in the mornings and really warm at night. Not comfortable.
Oh, I just thought that was funny. We've never had a moment like that, have we, guys? Ever. Okay, so negativity costs the U.S. economy between $250 and $300 billion in lost productivity. 90% of doctor visits are stress-related, and the number one cause of office stress is coworkers and their complaints. A study found that negative employees can scare off every good customer they speak with for good. Too many negative interactions compared to positive interactions at work can decrease team productivity. Negativity affects the morale, performance, and productivity of our teams. And one negative person can create a miserable office environment for everyone else. Now, this would never be here, but raise your hand if you've worked with somebody like that at another job. Sometimes you do everything you can, and so. Okay, so now here comes the fun part. Negative emotions are associated with the following: decreased lifespan and longevity. That's true. You live less. Increased risk of heart attack and stroke. It does. Greater stress. Only 2 times I feel stressed, day and night. Less energy. I recognize that face. I see that sometimes. More pain. Fewer friends. I couldn't decide between this picture or this picture. Or fewer friends. And less success. So, no matter how hard we try, negativity sometimes will preclude our success. And sometimes it's our choices that keep us from success. So this brings to forefront. So we're going to create our no complaining rule. So the no complaining rule is: no Zionsville Country Veterinary Clinic team members are not allowed to mindlessly complain to their fellow teammates. If they have a problem or complain about their job, their organization, their customers, or anything else, they are encouraged to bring the issue to their manager or someone who is in a position to address the complaint. However, the team member must also have thought of 1 or 2 possible solutions to the complaint to share as well. So this is where complaining is really important. Complaining is important. I mean, gosh, if the pipes are broken in the bathroom and nobody wants to say anything about it, because they might be, oh no, we're complaining about the bathroom. I mean, how many times have we complained about how cold the water is coming out of the faucet? Okay, I've done it. But there are serious times we complain. You know what? It's too much to try to do these things all at one time. So you need to go to somebody and say, how do we address it? So this is a good opportunity for complaining. Okay, so the key to this is you should never complain to someone who's not able to help with the solution. That's the most important take home from that. Okay, the right page, sorry. My first PowerPoint. And if somebody can figure out how to print the notes for me next time, let me know, because this was hard. Okay, so why no complaining? What do you suppose is the rationale behind this rule? Why no complaining?
Focus is
You affect others' energy.
So your focus is not right. You what?
You affect others' energy.
Affect others' energy. It doesn't solve the problem. Good answer. Does it feel good to complain? No, it nods his head. Yes, it feels good to complain. Sometimes. I mean, come on. We're going to be honest. We can't be honest with each other. No, can you be honest? You're right. 8 hours a day with each other. Sometimes it feels good to complain. But that's not what it's about. It's not about feeling good. Okay, so all good answers. So now, what are the benefits of no complaining rule? We got them right there. It's encouraging to work where there's no complaints. It's comforting. It actually, when there's not a lot of complaints or a lot of negativity, I feel more confident in what I'm doing. I feel more able to stick my neck out and not be afraid that it's going to get chopped off. What other things can you see as benefits of decreasing complaining?
Does it drain?
Does it drain?
Helping find the solutions to the problem that's upsetting you.
Finding a
It's
solution.
hard. And then you help your team.
Helping the team. Now here's a good one. Justified complaining. Mindless complaining. Somebody want to try to explain justified complaining?
Pipes burst above the ceiling.
Pipes burst above the ceiling.
Garbage bags on the left.
Justified complaining. You can use an example here. Justified complaining. I said I was going to put an estimate in for the x-ray dog today and didn't. I totally forgot. I called them after hours. I did all this above and beyond, and then for you guys, I dropped the ball. I did not have an estimate for it. That's a justified complaint. Somebody should be able to come to you and say, you know what, I really needed that estimate. What? Oh, no, I haven't even looked at it. No, I'm sure if you build out for what was done, it's not a problem at all. What else could be justified for? Just a couple more examples.
Litter boxes not being cleaned.
Yep. Something that would affect the health of our patients, exactly. Sometimes scheduling. How is this schedule affecting our ability to achieve what we need to do? Okay, who can give me an example of mindless complaint? Come on. We've all done it.
It's too cold outside.
It's too cold outside.
That's not
mindless
job
complaining.
related necessarily.
That doesn't have to be job related. What other mindless complaining?
Client is crazy.
A client's crazy. Client's crazy. That is about
Anything that ends in again.
anything that ends in again. Okay. Give me an example. I like that.
Mary Lou's like, again.
Ah, ooh, that's good. That's good. Okay. How about he did or she did? Anything that starts with he did, she did, they did. Or I hate, I can't stand. It drives me crazy when. What are some others? These are just coming to me, guys. I must do this a lot more than you guys do. How many, do we come up with a few more examples of mindless than we did justify? So maybe we hear a little bit more of that. Okay, so we talk about benefits for being solution focused, and this is what Kay said, we focus on solutions instead of focusing on the problem. That's the difference between mindless and justified. When you're justified, you've got a problem that needs to be solved, and you want to solve it. So you're going to somebody who can help you solve it, and you're solving the problem. If you're problem focused, you end up like a bowl of spaghetti. Just all, mishmash every which way, and there's not even any salsa. So that's no good. And then if you're solution focused, we're moving forward. If we're problem focused, what do? Stagnant. We're not moving at all. Is that true? Anybody been to training? If you're not moving forward, what are you doing? Are you staying put or are you going backwards? The rest of the world is moving forward. If we're not moving forward to solve problems, we're actually going backwards. So the problem focused actually has us go backwards. Okay, I skipped, I apologize. Justified, going back to justified a little bit. Justified is the employee should complain to someone who's able to help with a solution. So when we encourage our teammates to think of possible solutions to their complaints, we are empowered to become problem solvers rather than problem sharers. So you're going to drive the bus instead of just ride along. So I think that's really key. We're going to be a problem solver rather than a problem sharer. So the result and our ultimate goal would be a fleet of bus drivers where each person is empowered to create positive change instead of just talking about the names. Now mindless complaining serves no purpose except, and this is right out of the book, and I think it's absolutely clear, true. Mindless complaining serves no purpose except to sabotage morale and performance. There's no purpose other than those two things. Sabotage morale and performance. And I know That no, and I think the key to this is just, we're starting at the basics. And I certainly don't want to make it sound like I think everybody here's complainers. But this is basic. And I think to go forward as a team, we all need to know this. Okay. So let's see, what's next? We already did that. Okay, so here's our problem solving process. Here's how we are going to avoid getting into that situation. This is called a direct report, which means that you report complaints with solutions to your direct supervisor. So the person that is in a supervisory position or a support position for you, and that's designated by the accountability chart. So the accountability chart has got the visionary and the integrator, and it's got the operations manager and facilities manager and that type of thing. So if you've got a problem with the facility that you want to solve a problem about, then you're going to go to the facility manager and have them help you solve it. If there's organizational issues or suggestions, then you report that to somebody on the leadership team, and then we can address that at a leadership team meeting, and they'll help us solve that. Okay, so what's appropriate? Appropriate is in person. Now, the exception with that is if you have a suggestion, and it's a long one, which I know some of us can get a little long-winded. An email detailing the suggestions that you have is not necessarily a bad idea. But in person is the most important thing, because we'll get to it later, but trust is the key. Trust is absolutely everything when it comes to the no complaining rule. So you've got to understand that we'll be making sure that that level of trust is supported as well. Also, during the person that you report to during their working hours, unless it's a true emergency. So don't try to solve a problem with somebody who's not, unless it's an emergency. And also, it's appropriate to do it when the supervisor's workload allows individual time to focus. So, for instance, you don't want to be interrupting Dr. Leslie when she's in an appointment, or interrupting Amy when she's in the middle of payroll. She might pay you twice, and then that would really get you in trouble. So that's very important. Okay, now here, this is actually as important as even what's not appropriate. Never complain in a text, ever. Notes or sticky notes left for other team members. That's a big no-no. That gets a big from me. Sharing the complaint with anyone who cannot affect change. Contacting the supervisor outside office hours unless it's a true emergency. And complaining to another team member outside the clinic. So, just a couple questions on this one. Why not leave a note? Seems like the quickest way. Seems like it would be a great idea. Hey, you need to make sure you shut off call. Seems like a good idea.
Same.
It's impersonal. What else?
Kind of the same with the text. They can read it however they want.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's could be that you're like, hey, don't forget, but they think it's like, don't forget.
Exactly.
There might be extenuating circumstances, and if you only look at it from one side, you're not going to see that.
That's right. So you got to see all the sides. That's right. And Tia hit on it as the tone. There's no tone or body language to clarify your intent. And it's funny too, because sometimes I'll get a note and it'll say, so-and-so's upset about something. And like a client, usually it's a client. And it'll have exclamation points. And I'm like, you know what? It's all, if there's somebody's upset, there's already exclamation points in my head. I don't need to see it. So it's silly stuff like that. But when it's written down and you don't have a chance to, you can't read somebody, they're like, oh yeah, they were upset that they dropped their keys in the parking lot, or whatever. But if you can't see somebody's tone, then you don't know. And you know, I think many times we'll go to the negative. Do you find yourself naturally going to the negative, especially if it's something that could be construed as a criticism? Let us talk about constructive criticism. But doesn't it always kind of feel negative if you're not careful? Or if you don't trust your team, or teammate, or whoever's coming to you with that issue? So I think it's really important to see body language. Then, something that I didn't specifically write the word up there, but when you're complaining to somebody else, let's say you're not complaining